While it may surprise you, just about every single video I do, including the videos I do with Globebusters Tech, can be found on my debate board. Here I have everything I said in my video about the Midnight Zone all segmented out, just waiting for someone to disagree with something I said. And when I try to keep what I say in my videos super basic and understandable, it can lead to some pretty interesting conversations. Here I'll replay something I said that someone disagreed with in this video. A member of our debate board asked the question, if the atmosphere is opaque, how do we see through it? Well, it is the same thing as what we see going on here in the ocean. We can see through it a little ways, but the farther and farther you look, the more and more opaque the water becomes. Another common example I like to use is sheet protectors. I can see through one just fine, but as I stack more and more on top of each other, the more and more opaque they become. In this instance, one sheet protector represents a certain amount of distance in the atmosphere. This is why we can't just pull out a telescope and see Europe from America. To that, someone had a problem with my sheet protector statement.
You said, in this instance, one sheet protector represents a certain amount of distance in the atmosphere. This is a totally false analogy and untrue. The RI and density of sheet protectors is nothing like the atmosphere.
The sheet protector explanation describes why it gradually becomes more and more difficult to see the mountains over greater and greater distances. Since you do not appear to believe in atmospheric opacity, which is the atmosphere's ability to block your view, how do you explain this observation?
With a clear atmosphere, the mountains and clouds get lower and lower until they disappear below the horizon.
I don't see how that answers my question at all. That seems like a pretty random thing to say. Nonetheless, I don't think me rising in elevation will ever cause those mountains to disappear below the horizon. But if you've got an observation to share of this thing happening, by all means, substantiate your claim. And one thing I'd like to point out while we're here is take a look at how the haze extends high above the horizon line. It is something that is present even at high elevations. And that is the end of that line. No responses followed after that. But if we go back to the sheet protector statement, someone started a new conversation thread with a question.
How many miles of atmosphere represent one sheet protector? If I claim it's 10,000 miles or 2 miles, how would you know I was wrong?
It isn't a fixed situation. Atmospheric densities are continually changing with the weather. To that, Malcolm steps in to make an argument.
Here are two photographs I took on different days from almost the same spot, showing mountains over 30 miles away. Neither show any distortion or measurable refraction. This demonstrates that the atmospheric density does not continually change with the weather. It shows that refraction cannot explain why the bottom of distant mountains are not visible, only curvature can explain this.
Why are you suddenly talking about refraction? That has nothing to do with what I just said. It seems like a red herring to me. Now, you said this demonstrates that the atmospheric density does not continually change with the weather. Do you agree that the sky in both images is hazy?
Based on the dictionary definition of hazy, I would have to say no, the sky is not hazy in either image. I see nothing being obscured, dim or cloudy.
The atmosphere is different colors in both images, demonstrating there is a difference in atmospheric density.
Where is your evidence that the color of the atmosphere in front of the mountains is a different color?
In front of the mountains? I feel like that's an attempt to move the goalposts. Do you agree that the color of the sky in both images is a different color?
Yes.
Barometric pressure, which is a fancy name for atmospheric pressure, is a very measurable thing that changes on a day-to-day basis with the weather.
You have no evidence that stable barometric pressure at ground level causes observable refraction. My photographs prove it does not.
Why are you saying random stuff again? Where did I say anything about refraction in this conversation? Do you agree that stable density gradients are capable of refracting light?
Yes.
And do you agree that atmospheric opacity exists?
Yes.
And that is as far as that conversation got. And even though Malcolm agrees that atmospheric opacity exists, he still stands by his statement that the sky in both of these images is not hazy. If there is anything I've said on any of my videos that you disagree with, please come talk about it on our debate board. The Globe Earthers need all the help they can get. Thank you all for watching.